I'll tell you the first thought I have this morning, if you want, which is how absurd it is whenever people who owe their public profile to their sporting prowess are told to shut up and be quiet because politics and sport should never mix. It's as if people are entirely unaware of the Olympic Games in Berlin in 1936, or indeed of Jesse Owens and of others. The relationship between sport and politics is visceral. It's incredible. In fact, it's no coincidence, is it, that when I talk about the descent of politics in the Western world into atavistic tribalism, I compare it to football. I talk about footballification. The crossover, the intersection is extraordinary. Did you know that this year Rangers fans were at Celtic Park for the first time since 2023? Because the Old Firm derby, the Old Firm clash, was considered by police to be so potentially febrile that it was better if they kept the two groups apart. Did you know that, I'm going to get this one wrong, aren't I? Napoli, I'm pretty sure, and Ajax, certainly two matches in the last round or one of the earlier rounds of the European Cup had away fans banned from attending in continental Europe, and that takes us back to last September. I'll get this right, actually, because it's quite important. Champions League fixtures. Napoli's home game with Frankfurt, Ajax's visit to Marseille last September. Away fans were banned from travelling by local authorities. So when should the police be told to shut up, sit down and do what they don't want to do? 0345 6060 973. I think there is a case. I think there is an argument that should and could be made here. But I think we need to be absolutely clear about what it is. Maccabi Tel Aviv fans were subjected to appalling abuses when they played Ajax recently, but also they embarked upon appalling conduct themselves. That is a matter of fact, not a matter of opinion. There were WhatsApp groups identified calling for a hunt the Jews type of behaviour, and similarly there were chants from the fans of the Israeli team that went along the F the Arabs line and a glorification of the IDF, who of course have subsequently been adjudged to have been engaged in genocide. It seems unlikely to me that many of the fans at the more ultra end of the Maccabi Tel Aviv support are going to have gone along with that decision by the United Nations and a panoply of international genocide scholars and changed their view on the killings in Gaza. So I guess in a way what I'm asking you is... Sorry, Ajax. Everyone's a bloody cricket. Don't ring in to tell me that I've mispronounced Ajax. I want to know why this is different. And I think that it is. It is, you know, it's just days, isn't it, since we sat here covering that atrocity in Manchester at a synagogue. Days since we sat here marvelling at the terror, or not marvelling, but reeling at the terror in which Jewish people live at times like this. And I'll get texts now saying, what about the 70,000 dead Palestinians? And I understand why you're sending me those texts, but they don't cancel each other out. 70,000 dead Palestinians is a genocide and possibly a war crime, and anti-Semitic attacks reducing the Jewish population of this country to fear and terror is an utterly abhorrent disgrace. It's possible. It's an extraordinary thing to say after 2 years of covering these issues. It's possible to hold both things to be true. The victims of the terror attack in Manchester are to be mourned and grieved, and the culprit, singular, it's a live case, I won't say any more, I deserve, when they are, and if they are found to be guilty, deserve it's one of those occasions where you don't feel the law would be adequate enough. And you can still register the fact that people are currently embarked upon an almost unprecedented mission to dig up dead bodies in a decimated Gaza Strip. And that, I wish it wasn't the backdrop, but it is the backdrop to a lot of the coverage. It's the backdrop to the political interventions, the reason why Keir Starmer has called this a bad thing. In fact, I can't remember the last time all three major political leaders were completely united in the same camp They're all convinced that the West Midlands Police have got this completely wrong. And Keir Starmer, at least, I can't speak for the others, but Keir Starmer actually knows his football. You know, he will be aware of the long and very inglorious history of away fans being banned from games and indeed of matches unfolding behind closed doors. They have a large ultra content, this club, but equally there is so much anger towards Israel that is seeps and conflates into anger towards an Israeli football club. And that, of course, can seep and conflate into anger at or animosity towards Jewish people, which is the point at which it becomes anti-Semitic, that the police are very, very worried about applying a spark to this tinderbox. So why is this game different? And this isn't a rhetorical question to which I'm expecting you to shout, it isn't any different at all. I just want a better, I think we deserve a better understanding of why sometimes when the police tell the football club or when the police tell the population that they can't guarantee the safety of the population, whether they're attending the match or not. There's scenes in Amsterdam in the Ajax game. I'm going to carry on saying Ajax. You might not like it, but I say Don Quixote. Do you say Paris? When you say I'm going to Paris for the weekend, do you? Or I'm off to Barcelona? Do you? Or do you say Madrid, Barcelona and Paris? So I say Ajax, you say tomato. Take it to the judge. What's the difference? I mean, there is clearly a difference, but I want to pinpoint precisely what it is. Because it's pretty straightforward that if the decision here is driven by a desire to prevent attacks upon Israeli and I presume almost entirely Jewish football fans for the crime of being Jewish, then it feels very, very different indeed. It feels horribly different. But where does the principle meet the practice? How do you respond to that? By telling the police that they have to go and do something that they don't feel they're capable of doing, i.e. guarantee the safety of everybody present. If, as seems likely, this is a case, forgive me, I think we can be a game of two halves, isn't it? If, as seems likely, it is about both the perpetration of violence and the exposure to, the vulnerability to violence of the away fans, then the decision becomes slightly different, doesn't it? The decision just becomes slightly different. And I don't have a very strong opinion on this because I can't prove, and you can't either, what exactly the motivation is. I mean, there were riots in Amsterdam and there were horrible attacks upon Maccabi supporters. And there were horrible examples of Maccabi supporters tearing down Palestinian flags and chanting pretty hideous slogans. So, why is it different? It's sectarianism, arguably. I don't know what it is. But I do know this. When all three political leaders unite to condemn a decision taken by police officers who are poised to arrive at the front line, poised to police a flashpoint, I wonder where the logic lies. I think Andy can go to the top of the class today. He says, I love you, James, but it's not Ajax, it's pronounced Sif. I think you'll find it Silit Bang, actually, Andy, if we're going to get technical and pedantic about this. 12 minutes after 10 is the time. So, police services across Europe, across the world, and even in the United Kingdom, regularly, or not regularly, but the precedent has been set when the police don't think that safety can be guaranteed, that they will ban away fans from travelling. The scenes that we saw in Amsterdam when Maccabi Tel Aviv played Ajax, sue me, Ajax, were frightening and hideous. There are plenty of other examples of football violence, football hooliganism prompting either a closed-door entirely game or a game where away fans are banned. And I want you to tell me why this is profoundly different. 0345 6060 973 is the number you need. 1013 is the time. Because, you know, I remember when that situation in Amsterdam began to unfold, and the story changed in real time. It was extraordinary to watch the shift from the Maccabi fans being entirely blameless and innocent victims of hideous behaviour to a place where it was kind of... I don't know, you see, whether it was 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, or 9 of one and three of the other, but it certainly wasn't an entirely one-sided clash. And football fans fight over anything, you know? Football fans in Glasgow have been fighting over different flavours of Christianity and Irish history for generations. And sometimes the violence, the febrility gets so high that the authorities have to step in. It may be that by 11 o'clock the story's changed, the story's moved on. The Commissioner who oversees West Midlands Police has called for an urgent meeting and full review, but is that the PCC? That's another phone-in I've been meaning to have for ages. That's such a weird thing we did to policing when we just allowed any Tom, Dick or Harry to run for election to be in charge of them. But anyway, they've called for an urgent meeting and a full review of the decision to ban away fans from next month's Villa game against Maccabi Tel Aviv. I mean, imagine that Craig has just toppled Andy at the top of the class. He says, I think you mean kill it, bang, James. Thank you, Craig. I just want you to have one thought in your mind before we get stuck into this. And it's this. What if the game goes ahead and the ban on the away fans is lifted and we have scenes in Birmingham that are akin to the scenes that we had in Amsterdam, and we know that it could have been completely avoided? What will the barroom lawyers and the tin pot columnists be saying then? I don't know, but they'll probably try and blame it on Keir Starmer and quite possibly Gary Lineker. I also think that some people need a little bit of help understanding why this club and this game at this time do deserve different treatment from any other club at this time. When it comes to the reasons behind potential violence, some reasons are more important than others. For example, anti-Semitism is more important than centuries-old arguments about different flavours of Christianity or the history of English oppression in Ireland. In 2025, I'm talking about.